All right. First question: how was your coaching experience at Mercyhurst?
Um, it was good. So my before I was at Mercyhurst, I was at a school called Tiffin in Ohio, and that was my first experience coaching, and it was definitely a kind of a shock. I've been around coaches my whole life, but it was kind of a shock to actually be in it and putting in that amount of hours and stuff like that. Um, and just what's really asked of you as a coach. Um, and I would say there was some people there that really looked out for me, and you know, just like anywhere else, there's people who aren't going to look out for you.
Right.
But once I got to Mercyhurst, I really feel like that was a huge change in just culture and like I really did feel like from day one, because I knew those guys going in, like I had linked up with them at the coaches convention, and I felt like from day one, it definitely felt more like a family with them, and like to this day, like those guys still call me like Herm and Coach Waring, and I talk to Och and Townsend and Dempsey and all those guys, like so, you know, and guys that came in after you left. Um, But I think, that's probably the biggest difference is I established a bond with a lot of those guys that, I expect to last forever. Same like the bond that we have.
Right.
Um, so, I mean, I would say that was probably my favorite thing about coaching at Mercyhurst. And I also just loved Erie. Like, I went to school in two really small towns in West Virginia, and Tiffin isn't very big either. And the town I'm from ain't very big. So Erie was like the biggest city I'd ever lived in. Um, so that just, to me, there was plenty of stuff to do there. Just my wife loved it. We loved being by the water and, stuff to do in the summertime and all that stuff. So my experience at Mercyhurst was awesome. I loved it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I feel like I made a lot of good relationships there that I'm going to have for the rest of my life. So,
Right. I kind of felt the same way. Like, um, just the bonds I had with coaches. I still talk to Coach Waring, Coach Herm a little bit, and then like
yeah,
obviously like guys that transferred or like after I transferred, I still talk to a lot of those guys. So,
right.
um,
Who I just ran into was Monet at Marquise.
oh
He's
yeah,
at Glenville now. I'm sure because I think you guys have talked.
yeah,
And he told me to hit you up. That was like a couple weeks ago when I texted you. But I had went out to my buddy is the receivers coach at Glenville, and I didn't even know Marquise had transferred there. I knew he was because he was at Charleston, right?
yeah,
Yeah, he was at Charleston, and I didn't realize he had left. And I was on the sideline watching practice, and so I was like, "Hey, Coach McNair, that's you?" And I look over, I'm like, I didn't even recognize him at first because he got that big beard now, and he's looking all scruffy, and I'm like, "Who is that?" And then he got a little closer. I'm like, "Oh shit!" Like Marquise, I don't even know how you got out here, man. But because I'm like, how you even got eligibility at this point, dude? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, man, you've been playing for a minute, dog.
nah,
You're a
really,
vet at this point. He's like, nah, I had to take a year off and this and that. But yeah, that's I mean, just like that, right? Case in point, just like relationships that you make certain places, like have like a lasting effect. So
right. So, you coach the high school level now. How would you say it's different from college and like your approach and the game?
yeah, so last fall was my first year coaching high school ball. So, I've coached at D1, D2, and now high school. And I would say the biggest difference between high school ball and college ball from a coaching standpoint is probably just the amount of time you're able to put into it, right? Like a lot of people who, maybe don't want to be in college coaching anymore or are looking to get out. A lot of their biggest gripes are like the amount of time you have to put in, and then that was kind of one of my things. And then now that I'm coaching high school, one of my main gripes is I don't have enough time. So it's kind of funny because it's very different. Like when you're in college, you have all day. You're in the office. You have everybody there at your disposal. And then you go to practice. You call meetings. Guys are on campus. But high school, obviously, like kids live in town. We don't have access to them all day. We just a couple hours in the evening. So you got to be able to fit in, all the things you want to do in a very small amount of time, week to week and day to day. And also too, like everybody who's coaching at the college level, that's all they do. They coach.
Yeah.
Everybody that coaches with me now, they teach also, or they work sales or whatever. Like we got guys who do all kinds of stuff, and that's their primary job. And coaching is now secondary. So I would say that's been the biggest adjustment for me, is just trying to find a good balance, because I'll find myself just wanting to do football all day long. And it's like, well, I'm at this level now to take a step back and still give it all I got, but at the same time understand that, I only have so much time with the kids. But I would say that's been my biggest adjustment. But honestly, like I've loved being at the high school level so far. I didn't get to call plays or run an offense at the college level, so being able to do that at this level has been really fun for me. Like that's what I always wanted to do. Was be an OC and call plays and just kind of put like what I envision the best version of an offense being, putting that actually on the field and pulling the strings and running the show. So being able to do that was really cool. The first play I called last year was a touchdown, actually.
Really?
Yeah, first play I ever called as an OC was a touchdown. And I'll give credit to our defense. I think they forced a fumble or got a pick or something like that in the first drive of the game. And we got close to the end zone and then called one play and scored. So that was a pretty cool feeling. So I'm excited for next year, just with a year under my belt. Because obviously, I'm teaching too. So, that was also an adjustment, figuring out how to get all my lesson plans done and just what my routine was. So I'm excited. I'm excited for a year too.
How'd you feel about your last season that you guys just had?
I felt really good about it, man. I mean, obviously, I don't know if you kept up towards the end, but we ended up losing in the playoffs. But we had a great year. I mean, we had the most wins in school history in the regular season. We went 9-1 in the regular season, and that was the best that our school's ever done. We hosted a playoff game, ended up losing, but overall, I mean, just a great year. We had a bunch of games scoring over 40 points, and a bunch of games shutting other teams out where they didn't score on us at all. So I think overall, and the other thing too that people kind of overlook about our team last year was we had a lot of guys playing the position that we had them playing last year for like the first time, or they hadn't had very much experience. Like we had a new quarterback, new guys, 2 new running backs, a couple new receivers, like almost all new linemen, 2 new tight ends, like almost every position that we had. I think probably the most experience we had was at receiver for sure.
So are they all young?
No, we lost. I think we had about 8 seniors last year. So there was 2 on the O-line. Most of them were the receivers, older guys at receiver who were graduating. That's who we're going to have to replace the most of. And then a senior tight end. But a lot of those guys are coming back. Like our top 3, like the top 3 guys who led us in yards are all coming back. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to next year. So, yeah.
What have you learned about yourself as a coach?
Wow. Good question. I think what I've what I've learned about myself as a coach, I think I've learned a lot. But one thing that has stuck with me recently is I am to an extent like a perfectionist. Like I want everything to be perfect, and I wish I could control a little bit of everything. But I think one thing that's really important for any coach, but specifically if you're an OC or a head coach, is being able to trust the other coaches around you.
Mm-hmm.
And just knowing, like, I may not be able to teach every kid on the field every little thing, right? But if I do a good job communicating with my staff, and making sure we're on the same page, then I can trust them to go and just reiterate that, regurgitate, what, as far as kids' assignments, communication, things like that, where to line up, what your job is, all that stuff. So that would be one thing I've learned about myself is, just figuring out how to trust the guys around me and just be a good communicator. I think coaching and like I said, I also teach. Like coaching and teaching are basically just, can you communicate? Like there's a message you're trying to get across. How good are you at getting that message across?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like can you? It's one thing to know something, but can you like put that into words? Can you put that into actions and actually show somebody how to do it? Or can you draw it up on a board and explain why we're doing something? I think that's one thing that's one feedback I've gotten from a lot of players is maybe things they were taught in the past. They were just told to do something, but they weren't sure why. And that was something for me as a player that I always wanted to know. Like, okay, I know he's running a slant, he's running a bubble, but like, why are we doing that? What's the point? What's our goal? And so I think being able to loop kids in on that and the other coaches, right? It just creates more buy-in and it makes kids feel like they have a better understanding because they do, and they're gonna be able to play faster and they're gonna be able to execute better.
Right. I remember even at Mercyhurst when we were in the running back room, like you had us draw up the receivers' routes and everything they were doing, and then on top of that, like telling us the concept and the purpose of it. So I like that part, and then we do that now with our position coach too. So I feel like I get a lot more out of it than just getting the rock and just running.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's people think there's some people who have the philosophy that you don't need to know the whole picture and you can just run your route or just block your guy and just trust the guys around you. And, like that's true to an extent, but I'm gonna take the team where there's a number of guys on the field who know the entire picture and know what we're trying to get accomplished overall. Like, what's the scheme? What are we doing? Like, where's the ball trying to hit? How can I manipulate the guy in front of me? Whether that's to create space on a route or just get in front of him so I can block him and get in between him and the ball carrier. Just like little things like that. I think, that could lead to maybe a couple more explosive plays, which lead to maybe a couple more touchdowns, you know what I mean? And that's the difference between you winning and losing, between the difference between you winning 9 games and maybe 6 games.
Right. Last question. Where do you hope your coaching career takes you at this point?
Yeah, good question. I thought to this actually. Since I left Mercyhurst, my goal in coaching early on was to coach at the highest level. I can comfortably say that's not really my goal anymore. My goal with coaching now is, and then where I want it to take me, I just wanted to keep me involved in the game of football. Football is my favorite sport, and it's one of my favorite things in the world, to be honest with you, and something that I've sat on over the last year or two is I really don't care if I'm coaching in the NFL or if I'm coaching college or if I'm coaching high school. To me, it's just like being out there and being able to literally just throw a ball around. Like it's like therapy. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like we've talked about that. Like it's just different. Like I just have a different relationship with the game, and so honestly, the only place I want my coaching career to take me at this point is to just keep me involved in the game. And obviously, I want to have success. I want to win games. I want to be good. But as long as I'm out there doing it and I'm involved, like that's what I love to do.
Right. I feel like I'll probably end up taking that path too. I've actually enjoyed like parts of this class, like on the other side of sports and being on like the media side, um, and just being around the game. And there was an assignment I had to do, and I had to tweet like 20 tweets throughout this game. But like,
Yeah.
I just feel like I've kind of been hesitant about coaching, and I'm not sure if that's something I'll get into. But I feel like somewhere down the line, after football is done, whenever that is, I'll still be around the game because just like you said, like my love for it, it would feel weird not having it like as a part of my life anymore. So
Yeah. I think you know, that's the but I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Was one of my favorite things about football is one, it's always going to be around, right? Like football is always going to be around, whether that's you as a spectator, you as a coach, you as a player. Like that's something I've had to. Like I always felt like I struggled with giving up the game as a player, and I always felt like it was coming to an end, and like I didn't want to let it go and things like that. You know, to me, the games is always going to be around. It just might look a little bit different for you. And the other thing too is football is literally for everybody, and that's one thing that coaching high school has shown me is like when you're at the college level and obviously professional, like all of those guys love football, right? Like at least for the most part, right? In college, most of the kids love football. Professional, everybody loves football. In high school, not everybody loves football, right? And that's not a bad thing. Um, it's really not like, and that's why I love football too, is because it's for people like me and like you who love the game and literally feel like we need it to survive. And it's also for young kids who just want to be out there with their friends and have a good time. And you know, whether you're out there for love or for fun, it's going to teach you so many lessons about life and just about how to handle things and how to solve problems. Like so many valuable lessons.
again. Yeah.
My bad. I just walked into school, so I should be on Wi-Fi now.
No, you're good.
Could you get what I was saying? Could you hear what I was saying right there now?
Yeah.
Yeah.